Hello everyone, it's Joanne Fedler here, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about deciding on a venue for your retreat. So when we think about where we want to run a retreat, as a retreat leader, it's a very different decision than it is the inquiry, where do I want to travel to? There's a big difference between being a traveler and being a retreat leader. And this is the difference. When you're traveling, you might love the unexpected. You might not mind at all. In fact, you might love the sense of adventure, the sense of uncertainty, not knowing how things are going to be received, not even understanding the language and having to figure things out as you go. I mean, that's part of the fun of traveling, is that sense of serendipity and not really knowing what might be waiting for you around the next corner. Um, that's a lot of the reason why we do travel. But when you are running a retreat, there are certain things you really want to make sure of. You need certain things to be under control. So, for example, depending on who you're targeting as the people you'd like to come on your retreat, it's kind of important to keep in mind what the needs of your participants might be. So, for example, if you're offering a retreat to people who may have suffered from an illness, or maybe suffering from an illness, who might be cancer survivors, or who might need at some point medical attention, you probably want to go to a country where you have a sense that medical attention is going to be available easily, that you're not going to be stranded somewhere and it might be difficult for people. Um, if you're taking people on a retreat which is about exploring the boundaries, pushing through fear, facing uncertainty, then you might want to put them in a situation where those issues might arise, and then people will have to deal with them on the retreat. As long as you feel secure enough in knowing that you will be able to handle the situation out perhaps in the middle of nowhere or in a place where you don't speak the language. But of course, as time goes by, I will talk to you about how important it is for you to have somebody in a country that can act as your guide, or speak the language, or be able to help you out in a crisis or an emergency, because that's one thing you definitely don't want, to put any of your participants in a situation where it could be dangerous, much as you might want to be pushing the boundaries, helping people to be courageous and work through fear. It just depends on how you can hold that situation for people, how calm you can remain in a situation, and how well prepared you are. Of course, all those details are important. So depending on who your target market is, you will have a better idea of where you want to go to. And also, if all your people are coming from a particular country, if you think most of your participants will come from a particular country, it's also important to think about how far they may have to travel to get to your destination, as exotic and exciting as that may sound. For example, if your group is a group of young mothers, who are leaving their children for a while, they're probably not going to want to travel like 18 hours or a day and a half to get to a venue. Besides which, there is a kind of a rule of thumb that your venue should not, or your destination shouldn't really be longer in terms of hours to get there than days that you're offering your retreat. So for example, if your retreat is a 5-day retreat, people don't really want to travel more than 5 or 6 or maybe 7 hours to get there for 5 days. If your retreat is longer, if it's 10 days or 2 weeks, people are happier to travel for longer distances. But also remember that the cost to people is going to be higher, generally speaking, if the venue is further away. So all of those factors really do need to be kept in mind, as well as for yourself, because I have done writing retreats in Tuscany, and by the way, what a stunning venue. We stayed in a castle. It was just absolutely magnificent, but I do have to tell you that I battled terribly with jet lag for the entire time that I was there. I mean, I just got over the jet lag when it was time to come home, and it felt like way too far to travel. And I also have to say that on 2 of my trips, we did have issues with people who had traveled from Australia, because it's about, depending on how you get there, it can take up to 24 hours to get there. We had 2 people who had issues with DVTs, deep vein thrombosis. So you don't really want people to have to travel that far to get to where it is you're going. So all of those factors about your ability to not have to deal with a huge amount of jet lag especially when you want to be completely focused on form, there for your participants as well as them. I run writing retreats, and I really need people to be completely present. When you're jet lagged, there is that lag. There is an emotional and sort of almost like a physical or energetic lag. People are not fully present. I mean, when I teach, it's about being in your body, in your skin, and being fully there. It's really hard for me to be there as a facilitator if I'm jet lagged, and certainly for participants to be there if they're jet lagged, to have to write and have to get into things. So those are a range of factors that you want to consider. You obviously also want to consider the currency, the conversion, all of that, how strong your currency is against the currency you're going to, what value for money you can get, whether you speak the language or not. And all of those factors should be a kind of like constellation of issues that you think about when you're thinking about where you're going to host your retreat. Find a place that feels easy enough for you, easy enough for your participants, exciting enough for you, exciting enough for your participants. And it has to be a really good balance of all the energies of adventure, but also security for you, just for your peace of mind and for the peace of mind of your participants. So have fun thinking about where it is you want to host your retreat, and I look forward to some conversations with you in our Facebook group. And if you'd like to contact me to have a discovery session about the retreat that you'd like to run, please feel free to email me at joanne@joannefedler.com, and I will speak to you again soon.